brown cow. Brown chicken, 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 brown cow. This is fun. Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow.
Welcome to the Brown Chicken Brown Cow podcast and live show. Well, this is the podcast size. I don't know why I'm stumbling all over my words. This is fantastic, actually. I am sitting here with one of my fantastic, beautiful, and cunning co-hosts. Mm-hmm. You want to say hi?
I do want to say hi. I'm HethreBeth.
Hi, HethreBeth.
Hi, monkey.
This is HethreBeth, quote, Heather.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. HethreBeth is the real legal given name, and Heather is just the nickname. That's not true. That's not true at all.
When I got to this planet, they gave me Sean Monkey McAney. It was amazing.
Who's they?
Oh, I can't tell you that.
Oh, okay.
Special agency.
Oh.
3-letter name.
You'd have to kill me. Okay.
No, there's no killing. What do you think? Who do you think I am? Good God, woman. You know what? Today is a really, really cool day. We're actually recording 2 shows. This is our first of 2 shows, and we have some really great topics coming up. We're going to meet with a really fantastic person about sex and depression, right?
Yeah, I'm super excited. JoEllen Notte, she also goes by her online moniker is the redhead bedhead.
I saw that. It made me laugh when I saw that on her tag.
Isn't it cute?
Yes.
She's pretty awesome. I've heard of her a few years ago and kind of been following her a little bit, and now I'm super excited that we get to actually talk to her.
Well, what do you know about? Have you ever experienced depression in your sexual life or anything like that?
Wow, just jumping right into it, huh?
Well,
I thought you were going to ask me more about our guest, but that's okay.
No, we'll talk to her about that.
You know, that's an interesting question. I don't know. I'm going to answer that later when we talk a little bit more about the confluence of these things. Really, I just wanted to say confluence in a sentence. But I think that...
Big words.
You know, I think many... Well, so in my side hobby, this is my real life, this is my real job, but my side hobby is being a therapist, right?
Your side hobby, yes.
So I'm a social worker, and I do get to talk, I get to learn and geek out with my colleagues and talk with my clients about depression, and also, I do sex education. So these things do come up in conjunction together. But yeah, I'd like to think about that question a little bit more before we get back to that.
Because I know I've had my own trials with depression and sex, especially when I hurt myself almost 10 years ago, and it severely reduced my ability to engage in sexual activity, and that really brought me down. And then I had a surgery, which had a possibility of completely wiping out my libido and ability to have sex.
Oh, wow.
And that was also, I had to go through 2 of those surgeries, and that was rough in and of itself.
So that's like one of the risks, right? Like, and then that's unfortunately. Well, I feel like we'll have a good conversation about this with JoEllen. But
so you want to start?
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess we could just say a little bit more about her. She's a writer. She's a sex educator. I know she's going to be speaking at the Woodhull Sexual Freedom Summit pretty soon.
Where's that at?
Oh, failing a test somewhere on the back east, on the
Somewhere
back coast,
on
the back coast. This
the
is
back
the front
coast.
That's the back coast.
Oh, I see how that works.
It's I think an annual, maybe biannual conference around sexual freedom.
All right, we'll ask her.
Yeah, it'll be cool. So should we bring her on?
Yeah.
Awesome, JoEllen.
Through the magic of internets and
the internets, yes. She is probably enjoying much better weather than we are today. We are here in Sacramento, California, where it is only a balmy 106 degrees.
Woo! Delicious.
And JoEllen is in Portland, I believe. JoEllen, are you there?
I am here.
Welcome.
So are you in Portland or are you somewhere cooler?
Wait, I'm sorry.
Are you in Portland?
I am in Portland, and it is significantly cooler than 106 degrees here, thankfully.
That's good.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in this work around depression and sexuality?
So I always say that it was an accident, but it was like a super me kind of accident. Like I arrived in sex writing, and finally I felt like sexy and accepted in this world that I never thought I was part of. And so the first thing I did was like make it as depressing as humanly possible, which was like totally an accident.
You said you made it depressing?
I'm sorry?
You said that you made it depressing?
I brought in depression. I was like, hey
Gotcha.
guys, let's be hot. And now
okay.
also let's talk about depression. In the first couple of months of running my site, I had an experience with an antidepressant where it took away my ability to orgasm, and it just didn't occur to me not to write about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wrote about it, and that was the first thing that got like a big response on my site.
Mm.
And it always struck me that the response to that was big, but it was all private. It was private messages, it was DMs, it was emails. And that was when I realized people wanted to talk about this, but they didn't want people to see them talking about it.
Mm-hmm. So so that definitely says something about like our expectations around these social and personal things versus the realities. Sometimes when I talk in my work about norms or the word normal, I talk about how a norm is something that could either be a statistical average, or like normal is like either a statistical average or it's what people, think that things are. And it sounds like you hit on a big difference between what people think is normal, like socially or outside of ourselves, versus what many of us are experiencing on the inside.
Exactly, and that ended up kind of being the kind of what I wanted to bridge the gap between,
Mm-hmm.
because the work I've been doing the last couple years has been about kind of elevating the voices of people who aren't feeling heard, who because the experiences they're having aren't what show up in as like statistically significant, and they get told by doctors that experience doesn't happen with that medication because tests show it doesn't, or
Right. Yeah.
that kind of thing. But they're all having these experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're all feeling silenced, right? So
Right.
they're not fitting this thing that the medical community is telling them is what happens, but it's happening for them. So I wanted to give people a place to share that, to talk about that, and consequently hear each other talk about that and feel not so alone.
I love it.
Absolutely. I mean, things that you've just talked about, I've experienced. I've dealt with depression and bipolar my entire life. And only recently through, as I drop my mic, as more recently, I'm all right. The professor says I'm good. More recently, after seeing a counselor and being medicated for a number of years, I was able to step away from the medication. I don't recommend that to everybody until they're ready. For some people, almost never, because we're all dealing with our own stuff. But I was able, through counseling and through medication, find a balance. But during that period, right after my accident, and up to that point, I guess, I've dealt with depression about myself, and that really did pour into my sexual identity, more so even after the accident. So, am I still sexy? Can I get, an arousal? Where's my libido gone? All those things just became, there was something wrong with me, and it's not. It's just a different, I hate to say normal, but I normally like to score on the bell curve. So, somewhere in that range. So I've had to come to terms with the depression, and having to balance that with trying to be aware of it, communicate that it's happening, and then share it, not communicate by sharing with my partners as to, I'm not feeling too great. I need kit gloves, or if you want to be sexy, we have to try to do something maybe a little bit different. So, yeah.
So I wonder if you could tell me what you think about this too, both of you. But I wonder if, weirdly enough, are there any like blessings or gifts that come from depression around sexuality? Because I'm hearing like that at least it invited you to be more open and more creative about your sexuality. What do y'all think about that?
Oh, I get so angry at depression and its existence. I almost don't want to credit it for anything, but I do think,
Understandable.
right? I begrudge it that, but I do know in my own relationships and in things that people I've interviewed have reported out, just that elevated communication and that ability to let go of the idea that sex just happens.
Right. No kidding, huh?
Right? And I think that's a huge gift for people. And it's something that if you're not navigating something like depression, something like chronic illness, something that makes you stop and consider, you maybe don't get to develop those skills.
It's like a different type of muscle that you get to flex.
Exactly.
Thanks for bringing up, I mean, both of you have brought that up about like either, having chronic illness or a disability of some type. I wonder, what do you all think about the idea of mental illnesses or mental health issues as disabilities? Like I'm a pretty able-bodied person who experiences a good amount of privilege around my mental health, so I don't necessarily have a lot of knowledge around that. But what do you all think about that? Because we're sort of doing a partially intentional mini-series on disability and mental health and these types of things and how they affect our sexuality. Yeah, that's the end of the question. Please respond now. Thank you. I'm good at hosting.
I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, and one of the things that struck me was that several people referred to me as disabled, as a disabled sex educator, a member of the disabled sex education community. And it's not a label I've ever used on myself. And then I found myself writing about my experience at the conference and how I'd been going through a medication change, and I couldn't do the things I usually do. I slept 14 hours a day. It was what it was. And I think that it made me see I was having resistance to the term disabled, disability, based on my own perceived things. And it's a problem that I think the world has. We don't want to be this thing that we've been told bad things about. And on the other side of it, a lot of people don't recognize mental illnesses as disabilities because they don't recognize them as things they can see.
Right. That like invisible disability situation.
But they affect your life and the things you can do and the things you can't do and the way you function in the world. So I think absolutely a mental illness can completely be a disability.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. That's interesting. Thank you.
So I think that's a great time to take a little break here. And when we get back, we're going to actually start talking a little bit about how our partners maybe can help. We're depressed. What can our partners maybe do to help us through some of these things? Because they are part of our sexual identity.
I like it.
So we're going to take a little break. We're going on a little musical break. Recently, we had a chance to sit down and listen to Samantha Sharp. She sings like an angel. She's beautiful. She's amazing. You can find her music at samanthasharpmusic.com. If you want to email her to book her on whatever event you need, you can find her at samanthasharpmusic@gmail.com. And the song we're going to be listening to next is Burned.
Going out on a Friday night, but I know I'm gonna have a horrible time. Always a guy just there to play. You can smell his arrogance from a mile away. Somehow I become the #1 candidate, attracting them like I'm wearing some kind of magnet. I hate going out on the town. This is what always goes down. Mr. Man #1 looking like a clown, to be glued to his hands, feet dragging on the ground. He winds up with his introduction. He makes it like some big production. Do you believe in love at first sight, or do I need to walk by you another time tonight? Hey baby, give me a sign, will you be mine? Look, first off, my name is not Baby. I haven't fallen for a pickup line lately. Excuse me, grabbing me there in a handshake. Take your cockiness and just vacate. Ain't no one else to blame that your whole plan blew up in flames. Too many guys like you and I have learned I don't like to be burned. Try to salvage the night, we're gonna go dancing. I'm looking around, throwing anxious glances. Sure enough, he follows me out to the floor. Thinking to myself, could there be any more? And his dance moves, they're like no other. I hate to break it to you, but you are not Usher. Says baby, and he comes my way, starts to sway. I have to say, look, first off, my name is not baby. I haven't fallen for a pickup line lately. Excuse me, grabbing me, there ain't a handshake. Take your cockiness and just vacate. Ain't no one else to blame, that your whole plan blew up in flames. Too many guys like you and I haven't learned. I don't like to be burned. Oh, burn, yeah, yeah. There was a time when guys knew romance and they'd ask for your hand. Miss, would you like to go dancing? Now everything's changed. They're the ones we should blame. Better treat me with respect, or I'll put you in check. Oh, and first off, my name is not baby. I haven't fallen for a pickup line lately. Excuse me, grabbing me, there ain't a handshake. Take a cockiness, just vacate. Ain't no one else to blame, that your whole plan blew up in flames. Too many guys like you and I haven't learned. I don't like to be burned. Burned, yeah. Oh, I don't like to be burned. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, no, I don't like to be burned.
And we're back. Hi, JoEllen.
Hi.
Thanks for hanging around with us today. So we just had our cool musical break, and now I think we were going to talk to you a little bit about relationships and partners, and how the role that partners can play in folks who experience depression, and how that's related to sexuality. So I know that you please note that I have not properly done my homework, and I may be putting you on the spot in a strange way, but more disclaimers, yay. I know that you actually have a book about sex and depression, right?
Well, I am working on a book about sex and
Okay.
depression. It is on its way, I promise.
Okay, and is
Yeah.
part of that book have to do with relationships? Like, that's a really dumb
yes.
question. The whole thing probably does, but
Yes. So what's happening with the book is it's going to be kind of part, here's what's going on, here's the stigma that we deal with, here's why sex and depression is the intersection of two taboo topics, here's what people are experiencing, and then it's going to be part, here is how you can navigate this, here's how you and your partner can face it, here are actual practical things you can do, and so it'll be half guidebook, half, I don't know, roadmap.
cool.
Yeah.
So, would it be okay to ask you about some of those things? Like, if you were to just give like one quick tip about things that partners can do to support folks who are experiencing depression and when it's affecting their sex lives.
Oh my goodness, this is my favorite thing to talk about. You can
Ooh,
ask me so much
you
about
nailed
this.
it.
Oh, good. Well, I just didn't want to undercut your book sales or anything. But please tell
Oh,
me as
God,
much as you want.
So the thing I always say that I feel like is counter to a lot of what's been out there for years, because there's a lot of old thinking on this, is get on your partner's team, right? There's a lot of old stuff that's kind of about like protecting yourself from the negative and don't get pulled down the spiral. Nah, get on your partner's team.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get this dynamic where it's like the partner who's not depressed and the partner who's dealing with depression and their depression.
Right.
And they're on separate teams. And nobody wants to be on team depression. It's
No.
the best team ever.
Yeah. So it sounds like people may have in the past. People may still do this, but the paradigm was that if you protect yourself, then you're going to be a stronger person, and then you're going to be able to support your partner better. But in protecting oneself, you might kind of isolate your partner from your support. So, so it's almost like if you shift your position from, but so like unintentionally, people were on team depression without knowing it, kind of.
Kind of. It was, so very quick story. A couple years ago, I went through an episode and my partner had never experienced anything, any kind of mental illness with a partner. So we went looking for books for him, and I kept coming across these reviews where the review sections on Amazon would just end up being partners
Yeah.
yelling about how their partners didn't listen to them when they took the tips in the book and tried to do them. And it would just turn into this like bitch fest of people who were angry that their partners had depression and wouldn't let them fix them. And I think it was just a different approach, a very like methodical, your partner has depression, here's what you need to do, and here's how you can stay safe. And we wanted to approach it in a way that felt like we were working on it together. And so we kind of rolled the dice and saw what we could do, and it went really, really well.
Nice.
And that's kind of been the basis. I always say we were my guinea pigs.
You and your partner's relationship was like your guinea pigs for this experience?
Exactly.
Oh.
And a lot of what I've taught since then has grown out of that relationship. I brought a psychotherapist into my project early on, and I have a habit of emailing him or calling him and saying, I'm about to tell people that this is a good idea. Am I right? Is this a good idea?
Is that a good idea to tell people it's a good idea?
Because I don't want to, steer people wrong if it's
Sure.
only me and my partner who this thing works for.
Sure.
And he'll tell me, yes, or maybe you might want to adjust this, and it's been really great
That sounds
for
cool.
building these ideas.
I noticed that on your website, something that I appreciate about you is that in your bio you say, like, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I am a sex educator, and these are my areas of expertise, and I'm going to come at it from this perspective. And I just really appreciated that about you.
Yes, at this point, if I had life to do over again, I realize I would have studied psychology. I maybe would not have gotten that theater degree, but, it is what it is.
But now I'm curious about how as a person who has studied theater, what can you tell us about how you bring those strengths or knowledges into your relationships, and how does that help with sex and depression?
Well, I always say I got out of theater because it was nothing like the Muppets.
Oh,
And I'm only kind of kidding when I say that.
say more about that. What does that mean to you?
Well, I wanted it to be like, let's all work together and put on a show. Right? And it wasn't like that. It was somehow meaner. Like, there was a lot more shoving each other out of the way and wanting another project to fail because that would help you succeed. And there wasn't the empathy, there wasn't the support, there wasn't the working to lift each other up. It was a lot more every man for himself.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And it's shaped a lot of how I work in this industry, as well as how I work with what I teach people. I don't want people to feel pushed aside ever. I don't want them to feel shouted down by louder people. I don't want them to feel like if they don't, fight as hard as they can to get the attention, get the whatever, they're gonna lose.
Yeah, no kidding. I think probably just as a person who's writing a book to help other folks who are at the intersection of two taboo topics, one could assume that. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm being harassed.
I was like, are we having a monkey blush?
Yes.
Monkey blush! Ding, 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 ding. I'm not sure. I think the
I'm sorry, JoEllen.
madam is making eyes.
The madam is batting her eyes at me, and she has. I'm just gonna say her nipples are awake.
My God,
she's
monkey.
pointing at what? All the things are pointing at me. Her eyes, her yeah. So I started blushing.
Okay. Well, that's good. So people are now going to tip us.
I hope so. What she's talking about there is if you haven't had a chance to go out and check out our Patreon website, that's patreon.com/BCBC podcast, and you can give us money and get free stuff. That's basically it. Or just give us money to buy us drinks for the show, or tip us whenever I get
That's
blushed.
right. Whenever
God, I feel my face is
you
on
become
fire.
blushed. When you become blushy.
This
Yes.
is This is horrible. Well,
You're
now
so
that
silly.
now that I've completely derailed the show, I think this is another great time for a little break. Because you know what's nice is when we have sponsors that really want to get
Hell
the word
yeah.
out and want to support the show.
Okay.
So we're going to
Totally.
take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into something else about who knows what, because I'm going to try not to look at the madam and go off the rails again. So we'll be right
call.
back after words from our sponsors. Hi guys, this is Sean Monkey McAney, Monkey for short. You know what? If you're in town here in Sacramento, or if you're anywhere, you need to check out Midtown Moxies. They are a Sacramento burlesque troupe that is blowing my doors off. They are amazing. Generally, they have 2 shows a month. One called the Midtown Moxies and one called Moxie Crush. You need to go to midtownmoxies.com or find them on Facebook. They are amazing. They're beautiful. They're funny as hell. Trust me, I wouldn't be advertising with them if I didn't believe in them. They are freaking fantastic. Enough said. Go to midtownmoxies.com. Hi guys, it's Sean Monkey McAney from Brown Chicken Brown Cow. You know what I suggest? I suggest you go to luckybloke.com. Why? Because you can order your condoms online every month. Let's say you have multiple lovers that require different types of condoms, small, medium, large. You don't have to go to the store and buy all these different condoms. You can actually order them from Lucky Bloke. Let's say you have a lover that's latex sensitive. You can get latex-free condoms in that same package with everything else. It is a fantastic program. It is a monthly service. You need to go to luckybloke.com and tell them Monkey sent you. Trust me, they know who I am. Welcome back. If you get a chance, please go out and check out Midtown Moxies and Lucky Bloke. They're 2 wonderful groups, 2 wonderful companies, and just a lot of fun, wonderful people.
Heck yeah.
Oh,
Burlesque and condoms. I'm all about it.
Yeah, because you're wearing condoms for earrings right now.
I
which is-
am.
Yeah, I think you're always wearing condoms for earrings, which is beautiful.
Ear protection is important. I'll put a picture of this on the BCBC Facebook page.
I like having safe socks.
You do have safe socks.
That's right. So, well, you keep them on for safe socks.
All right, that's right. Gotta have safe socks and ear protection. Okay, we'll put pictures of this on the Facebook page. It'll be
gee.
amazing.
JoEllen.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome back. You know what? It's at the top of the show. You talked about one of your books. Do you have anything else in the works?
Yes, this fall I am really excited to be included in an anthology that Kitty Stryker has put together called Ask, Building Consent Culture.
Awesome.
It comes out at the end of October.
Oh.
My essay is actually, it talks about problematic consent when you're dealing with mental health issues.
Oh, I love it. Can't wait to read that.
Yeah, I have a lot of feelings about the age-old advice, you have to get yourself together first.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about your feelings about that, please. God, I'm being such a therapist right now.
Such a counselor over here.
Well, when we tell people that basically they're not eligible to participate in the world of love and sex and all of those things until they've sorted themselves out,
Right.
it sets people up to pretend they are a way that they are not, and to feel like they are not worthy to conduct their lives as them. And you can't really consent when you're feeling like you're lucky people are accepting you, or like you can't actually have feelings that you're having.
Yeah, I'm nodding my head so vigorously over here and realizing that you can't see that on a podcast. But yes to all the things that you just said, please and thank you. Enthusiastic, yes.
Good thing they can't see
Yeah,
me
so
dancing.
I'm very excited about that book. And in a couple of weeks, wow, it's only like 2 weeks away now, I will be speaking at the Woodhull Sexual Freedom Summit in Arlington, Virginia.
I'm sorry,
And
I'm not going to make
presenting
that
a
one.
session called Keep Giving a Fuck, Prioritizing Sex During Trying Times.
Oh, I love it.
Keep giving
so
a fuck. That's an awesome name.
That's awesome. That is so great.
Yeah, I'm probably going to miss that one unless you want to fly me out.
Haha.
No? No. Yeah, nobody ever wants to fly me
Sorry,
anywhere.
it's part of my job to figure out who flies me out to these things.
Hey, I hear that. You gotta get your hustle on, girl. Wow. Okay, so this book sounds super exciting, and I know I've heard a bit about this book before. Your essay just makes me so excited. I feel like this is the exact type of thing I want to share with all of my colleagues as a therapist. Is like, this is how to talk about sexuality in a way that's like healthy and actually kind of protects our clients and helps them build relationships. Sometimes when people talk about sex, it's not just like quote unquote lay people, it's professionals as well. Professionals get all weirded out about sex and they don't know how to talk about it either. So I feel like I already, without even having read this essay, want to recommend it to like all of my colleagues.
And I'm very excited. The roster of people contributing to this book is fabulous, and I think it'll be a really helpful book for lots of people to read and have on their shelves and cite and all the things.
Heck yeah. And yeah, you're right. Kitty Stryker is pretty great too. I follow her a little bit in the world, and I like her work.
Yeah, she's a big, huge badass. And when she contacted me to contribute to this book, I may have like had my jaw drop and blathered like an idiot for a few minutes.
Yay!
Oh,
That's
wow.
those good moments in life. We should be able to be doing things that like surprise us and excite us
And enrich us, fill us, those type of things.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about depression. I found doing things like this show, where I'm putting something positive back out into the universe, where I'm being positive in my life, where I'm thinking and doing something not just for myself. Obviously, it's not altruistic, don't get me wrong. I love this. But I'm doing this not just for me, but for my co-hosts, the people that are around me, and also the people out in the universe that are going to be able to listen to this show and go, wow, you know what, there's some new concepts there I haven't been able to think about. Maybe I need to contact JoEllen, buy her book, find out some new information, and try to maybe change my mind a little bit about things.
Totally.
Because I've had to go through a lot of generations of growth over the years. I think we all do. We all change and move, and hopefully you have the fortitude to stand up and be able to move forward. And sometimes you got to stop. I know this. Sometimes you do have to stop, assess, figure out where you need to move next. But this type of thing, being positive, trying to keep my spirit up and try to keep the energy going, actually helps me not only physically but mentally.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense to me, and you can tell me what you think, JoEllen. But I think that I think the most problematic thing that can happen with folks who are experiencing mental illness is to put it back on that person and be like, well, this is your problem by yourself. You just have to deal with this in isolation, and like, don't touch me with your icky mental health stuff. Right? Like, oh, it's an infection. I'm going to catch your depression or whatever. And it's like, well, I mean, there's something to be said for like, obviously our energies and whatnot affects one another, but finding ways to connect and being, you know, as people who are experiencing mental health stuff or people around folks who are experiencing that, the more we can connect and in various different ways that are meaningful, be that like in a dyadic relationship, in multiple relationships, in projects that we're putting out to the universe, in amazing books that we're writing, or podcasts or whatever, the more that we're going to find meaning in life. And it's interesting because we kind of tend to, Heather's going on a tirade, but this will be a 20-second soapbox. But in our culture, we tend to individualize a lot of things, right? And we tend to like stigmatize and pathologize and just put things in a box and say, okay, you go solve your own problem. We also tend to medicalize depression, and I think that it's interesting and maybe more significant to think about it as like, you know, something that's not just a medical issue that you can like slap a label on, but it's something that has to do with every aspect of our lives, from sexuality to finding meaning in our lives.
And I think we need a bottom third. Heather Soapbox.
Oh, but Heather Soapbox. That's right.
The timing of this conversation is actually uncanny.
Oh yeah?
I have a Patreon to like support me as I write this book.
Tell us more about that. Tell our listeners more about that, please.
But wait, let me tell you the cool part first.
Ooh, okay.
Not that that's not cool, but every Monday morning, my supporters get to read a new excerpt from the book.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
basically
cool.
what I was thinking about that week, or you know, a new chunk that got put in, or whatever. And I just scheduled tomorrow mornings before I came on today, and it was about the problematic concept of excising negative people from your life, and how kind of this intense individualism leads to a lot of folks coping with depression finding themselves painted with the, you know, negative brush and being isolated from friends and people who could be their support because, you know, I can't deal with your negativity right now.
I love that. Thank you. Wow, so much for that. That's I think that's true. Like the more that we that we just label other people instead of looking at them as whole people with various nuanced experiences, the more we like do ourselves a disservice. Because if I were to just tell everybody in my life who experiences mental health problems to fuck off, well, I probably really wouldn't have any friends, and I probably would have a very shallow experience of relationships.
Yeah, I don't think I'd know anyone anymore.
Yeah, right? Because we all have these, many of us at some point in our lives, most of us will experience some type of mental illness, whether it's like brief or lasting. And we all have these things, but just like we all have, well, I shouldn't say we all, because asexuality and gray sexuality is a valid experience too, but the vast majority of us do have sexualities, but that's something that we don't talk about either. So thanks for being a badass Wonder Woman and facing two taboo topics at the same time. I appreciate that about you.
Thank you. I ended up being kind of the most rewarding thing I've ever done. So, it's great for me too.
Nice.
So cool.
Well, JoEllen,
Yes.
I thank you. Your work is so appreciated. I'm happy to have you on the show. This has been enlightening, not only for me to reinforce some of the things that I've been trying to do in my life, but also hopefully it's helpful to other people to hear it as well. And I'm getting the number one finger from my co-host here. I don't know if she's trying to either say she's number one or I'm number one or you're number one. It's a big foam finger.
I was trying to say, yes, the madam is number one and the professor is also number one. We're all number one, okay? It's not a binary. We can all be number one. No, I was just going to, if you don't mind, I was going to answer the question that you asked me earlier.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. I can't even remember what it was.
Well, just before we end the episode. You had I'm sorry, but I also feel like maybe we want to give JoEllen an opportunity to share with people like where she is in the world.
Let's do that and then we'll come back to
that sounds like a good plan. Okay. We just fly by the seat of our pants.
Yeah, just complete britch. Well, I like britchless.
Britch flying.
I fly britchless.
I don't want to see that. I do not consent.
I do not consent to britchless flying. I do that in Coach too.
Monkey butt.
So, JoEllen,
Yes.
where can we find you on the interwebs?
Okay, so you can find me on my site, which is redheadbedhead.com. I am on basically all the social medias as JoEllen Notte, JoEllen Notte. And my aforementioned Patreon, which is to support my book, which I don't think I said the title of, because apparently I just forget these things. My book, The Monster Under the Bed, Sex, Depression, and the Conversations We Aren't Having.
It's a great title.
You can support... Sorry?
Sorry, I interrupted you. I said that's a great title.
I love my title, yeah. You can support the process of getting this book out of me at patreon.com/JoEllen Notte.
Very cool. Thank you. I would pick up my phone to go bookmark that page, but I would probably cause a disruption to the microphone. I hear that's a thing. I'm not sure if it's a thing or not.
Okay, so I derail it just by being weird and blushing, and you derail the show by trying to buy stuff on Amazon.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. Totally.
Nice.
And now I'm blushing too.
Woo!
Thanks.
It's not just monkeys. Not just for monkeys.
It's not just for monkeys.
Okay. So, the question I asked you at the beginning of the show, before we started.
You asked me if I have experienced some intersection of sex and depression. And I would say that I still don't know if that... Well, I mean, yes, I actually have. In past relationships, definitely I've had experiences where I'm pretty sure I was experiencing depression, even if it wasn't diagnosed. But I just wanted to say, like, more recently, one of the things that I've been coming to appreciate is... so I've been married for... Oh, God. Trevor's going to kill me. Like 3 years, I think. Been in a relationship for 5 years, which is the longest singular romantic relationship that I've had. And I've noticed that my libido has kind of like fluctuated up and down during that time. And I think as somebody who's like very out and proud as a sex educator and a sex positive person, there's opportunities to kind of judge yourself about that, right? You get invited into this narrative of like, well, I'm supposed to be up for it all the time, right? And I think, I probably get a little bit of seasonal stuff going on in the winter, like seasonal depression. And I noticed that that it does affect my libido. And I've decided kind of recently to sort of start thinking about that differently. Instead of letting it be like, instead of judging myself about it or feeling like pushing myself to get back to that place, I've just decided like, my libido is taking a nap right now. It's hibernating maybe. And I like that. I don't know, I don't remember where I got that from, but I was talking about this in a conversation earlier today. But yeah, like maybe it's just chilling out in a cave right now, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Just the same way as like my desire to drink hot chocolate is going to exist in the winter, but it doesn't exist right now. Is this making any sense to anybody?
So the
How's
other
this
day I was
conversation?
walking
I'm getting
around
a
the
thumbs
street.
up from
What?
the producer. That's good. Thank
Yeah.
you. One person validates me quietly in the
professor
corner.
gives you a thumbs up. I start taking us off on a tangent. I'm an ass.
Anyway, I don't know if it answered your question from the beginning of the podcast.
It does. Thank you. That was it. Yeah.
I'm done. Thank you at the end.
You want to say goodbye to JoEllen?
I do want to say goodbye to JoEllen. She's so amazing. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And good luck on your books and
Oh,
your
yeah. Books
wonderful
and trips.
life.
Yeah.
Being awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be in
you.
touch again. And until next time.
This has been the Brown Chicken Brown Cow podcast.
Wow, you just signed us off.
I did. Is that okay?
You were awesome.
Is that okay?
That is fantastic.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Hi guys, this is Sean Monkey McEnany, Monkey for short. What you need to know now is that brown chicken, brown cow needs your love. It needs your help, and it, well, you know, personally, we could use your money. But short of that, what you need to do is go out and like our Facebook page. Number 2, give us a review on whatever podcast ability you have. Go out to iTunes, go out to Google Play, give us a good review because that helps. Number 3, subscribe. Subscribe to our podcast because that helps our numbers, helps us with advertisers, helps us with everything. It makes us look good, actually. And number 4, and this is very important, come close to the speaker. It's fantastic. You can go out to Patreon and support us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/BCBC podcast. You can support us at whatever level of support you think you can manage. I don't want you to give us money if you can't do it, but I want you to give us some money and we'll give you back some love as well. We'll give you back some stuff. We'll give you back some love. We'll talk about you on the radio. Who knows? But in the end, supporting us helps keep the show going. Subscribing to the podcast gives us better numbers. And liking our Facebook page, guess what? You always know when a show's coming. So, this is Monkey. You're you. We are together. Goo coo ka-choo. Fantastic. See you on the next show.
Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
This is fun.
Chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow.